Alrighty guys, what is going on? Welcome to a lovely day here at Dub Saw Shop. As you can see, we're sitting on the bench. Finally, I am back to you bearing audio. So, we pulled the G372 racer down last week and started working on it. And we did a whole video. Had about probably an hour and 15 minutes worth of video. Condensed it down into 30 minutes. And lost all the audio. So, I had to scrap that. So now we got to start back over, just kind of explain what we did to this thing and why we did it. So the original cylinder for this saw, if you go back and check the other build videos, I ended up having to cut a boatload out of the chamber to get the cylinder to drop back down so we could get the exhaust raised a little bit, or lowered per se. When we did the port work on it, the exhaust bumped up to like 94. And we changed up a few things, cut another probably 30-40 thousandths out the chamber. We ended up getting the exhaust back to 97, but our intake timing was about 85 degrees. I've always been a little leery, thinking that that's a bit too much for this. It didn't seem to be causing any problems, but I want to try a different build on it just so we can see. Plus, I wanted to get it where we didn't have so much cut out the chamber and get the intake up a little bit to a reasonable number. So we're sticking with the single ring meteor piston. We ended up getting a highway Titan nickel cylinder, which I do not recommend if you're going to port. If you're just going to slap that puppy on and run, yes. If you're going to port with it, absolutely not. I fought this thing so much to get the exhaust done, the transfers down, and to get the chamber cut. I probably got 3 or 4 hours in cutting the chamber because I couldn't find anything that would cut it. So I had to take an old piston, put some 80 grit on it, and sand through the plating. And still, when we cut the chamber, it ended up chipping the plating that's in the combustion chamber. So it's got plating in the combustion chamber, it had plating on the squish band, plating inside of the exhaust port, plating inside of the transfers. It is just a dog to port. I'll bring you guys in, or I'll bring this over there and let you look inside of this thing and see what we did. There's the exhaust shape. The exhaust is at a 102. We ended up cutting roughly about 30 thousandths, 35 thousandths out the chamber, and roughly about 45 off the base. I left the side skirts on the cylinder and left the little dividers. We can go back in later and work on those. Switch lights here. You can kind of see right there where the plating's in the combustion chamber, and when we cut the chamber, it ended up chipping. I ain't got my normal flashlight. Transfers. Nothing done to the intake. So the numbers on this thing, 102, 122, and 76 on the intake. We're going to try that, see how it works. This saw already has got quite a few things done to it as far as to the flywheel, carburetor mods. It ran good, it had great RPM, but I don't think it had the torque that I was looking for. So I'm thinking I'm going to try this build, see what happens. We got the other cylinder. If nothing works out, still a great running saw with that cylinder on it. Nothing in the world wrong with it. Just want to try something new. We got to try to step up our game for Sawfest. And this may just be the first little test that we're going to do. I have all intentions of building. Probably we'll get another cylinder for this that's not tight nickel. So that way we can go in and actually do some decent chamber work without all the crap. And we're going to be probably diving back in the G372xp. I really didn't get a good feel of how the saw was done compared to everybody else because I sucked at running saws that day. So I miscut on everything, so I don't kind of have an accurate time to compare to on pretty much any saw. But I do know that we're going to be going back in the J-Red, this saw, the 660, and we're going to be going back in the Poland Pro 415, doing some work to that so we can use that for the 5 cube class. So we got our work cut out for us for the next year. We're actually going to be buying a, can't decide, 3120 or the 880. The consensus seems to be the 880. Not so much. 3120, it's taking the cake. I think the way the 880 is made with the air filter setup, it just seems like it'd be easier to work on, easier to modify. But we'll see where time takes us. But for now, we're going to go ahead, toss this thing together. We're going to run it a little bit. We actually got a little surprise on the 662 that hasn't been videoed. And it's pretty interesting. So, you guys come back, see what we got next time on Dub Saw Shop. Going to be running this thing. Then we're going to be hopping on a 2511 build. And we got a steel 029 that we got a 039 piston and cylinder for. We got to do a change out on that. And we got us a ATV that we got to work on and get that done pretty quick. So, glad to see you guys. You guys have a great upcoming weekend. Dubs, we out.